I once heard someone say, as long as you're disciplined and hardworking, you'll definitely succeed. Sounds right, doesn't it? Very inspiring, very motivational. But I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Not because I'm pessimistic, but because I've lived long enough to see this. The hardest working people I've ever met are also the poorest. There are farmers who wake up at 4 a.m., work in the fields until sunset, and don't know what a day off looks like. There are street vendors who start cooking at 2 in the morning, setting up their stalls before the sun even rises. Would you say they're not disciplined? They're the definition of discipline. But are they wealthy? Most of them are not. So I have to ask, are we confusing motivational slogans with economic reality? This world is full of advice that sounds right, but leads us astray. Like chicken soup for the soul, warm, comforting, easy to digest, but it doesn't help you grow. Think about it. If hard work alone were enough, then manual laborers would all be millionaires. If waking up early and grinding every day guaranteed success, the world would be filled with millionaires by now. But it's not. Here's the truth. Discipline only works when you're headed in the right direction. You can row your boat with all your strength, but if it's pointed upstream, the harder you row, the more exhausted you'll become. You can climb a mountain with all your might, but if it's the wrong mountain, all you'll reach is a lonely, disappointing peak. I know, this sounds like I'm going against everything we were taught growing up. You reap what you sow. No pain, no gain. Success leaves no footprints of the lazy. But we have to be honest with ourselves. Don't let poetic slogans lull you to sleep and stop you from asking the most important question. Where are you going? Are you even headed in the right direction? I've made that mistake too. I used to think that if I just worked harder than everyone else, I'd get ahead. But life doesn't reward effort. Life rewards strategy. Bill Gates didn't become rich because he woke up earlier than everyone else. He became rich because he sold software, something that could be scaled infinitely. You, on the other hand, may be selling sandwiches. Each one earns you just a few cents. I'm not looking down on anyone. I'm simply describing how the economics of value creation works. You can be the most disciplined person in the world, but if your effort is being poured into a system that can't grow, you'll stay stuck. And the sad part? Most people not only believe in the wrong formula, they blame themselves when it doesn't work. I guess I didn't try hard enough. I guess I wasn't disciplined enough. No, my friend, maybe you've just been walking in the wrong direction. So this video isn't here to dismiss the value of discipline. It's here to help you understand when discipline actually works. Not when you're just forcing yourself to do more, but when you have the courage to pause, reflect, and ask, am I on the right path? Human nature doesn't like self-discipline. Let's be honest for a moment. Have you ever said to yourself, starting tomorrow, I'll wake up early. I'll eat healthy, work out, live better. I'll sit down to work on time. No more mindless scrolling. But what happened next? The next morning, you hit snooze. By the afternoon, you gave in to your favorite comfort food. And at night, TikTok had you in its grip until way past bedtime. You're not lazy. You're just human. And human nature? It craves comfort and avoids difficulty. You see, laziness is natural. Self-discipline is spiritual practice. We are wired to seek quick rewards, dodge discomfort, and delay what's hard. Everyone wants to succeed, but very few are willing to go through the pain it takes to get there. Some say, I want to make more money, but they don't dare step outside their comfort zone. Others complain, I hate my job, yet they keep repeating the same exhausting routine. Just because the paycheck shows up on time. The problem isn't your promises. The problem is the war between emotion and logic. Logic says, go exercise. Emotion replies, I'm tired. Tomorrow. Logic says, sit down and work. Emotion whispers, let's watch a couple funny videos first. If you don't learn how to manage your emotions, they will manage your entire life. The sad truth is, most people around us aren't lazy, they're exhausted from living the wrong way. They follow rules just to not get fired. They wake up on time out of fear, not purpose. They go to work because they have to, not because they want to. They don't have dreams anymore. They've replaced passion with paycheck. They don't live with intention, they survive out of obligation. That's not self-discipline. That's forced discipline. We often blame ourselves for being weak. But the truth is, You're fighting a powerful enemy, your own human nature. If you're struggling to change, it doesn't mean you're broken. It simply means you're human. But here's where growth begins. When you stop living by instinct and start living by intention. When you choose the harder road, the quieter path, the lonely mornings, because you know it's right. Because you want more from life than comfort. So if today you feel lazy, weak, or like you're falling behind, don't rush to judge yourself. As long as you still want to grow, as long as there's still a spark of desire to change, you still have hope. The only people truly lost are the ones who've stopped wanting more. Because you can't wake someone up if they're only pretending to sleep. You have to work for yourself. There's something most people don't realize. You'll never truly become self-disciplined if you're not working for yourself. Sounds simple, right? But think about it. When you're employed by someone else, who are you really working for? Your boss? Your deadlines? Your performance targets? You show up because you don't want a pay cut. You follow the rules because you don't want to get scolded. And that makes you think you're disciplined. But no, you're not controlling yourself. You're being controlled from the outside. Now imagine this. One day, there's no boss watching you. No emails, no reminders, no pressure. Would you still show up on time? Would you still finish your goals even if no one asked? If the answer is no, then sorry, but that's not self-discipline. That's just you living in a cage with a lock and getting used to it. I once heard a quote that stuck with me. If you don't work for yourself, you'll spend your life living off a salary that someone else decides. And there's nothing wrong with that, if you're happy with it. But if you want freedom, if you want growth, if you want a life that's truly yours, then you need to take ownership. And ownership begins with one mindset shift. Start working as if it's for yourself. Always. Working for yourself doesn't mean quitting your job or starting a company. It means you understand that your success or failure is your responsibility. You act because it matters to you, not because someone told you to. You invest time in things that create long-term value, not just help you survive the week. You make 10 million? That's yours. No one needs to approve. No one takes a share. That is the purest form of freedom a person can feel. But here's the flip side. True owners need 10 times more self-discipline than employees. Because there's no one checking in on you. No one pushing you. Just you and your dream. Sure, you could sleep in all morning if you wanted. But you also know, if you don't work today, no one's paying you tomorrow. That's not fear. That's responsibility. And when you live with that kind of ownership, you no longer need motivational quotes. You no longer need 100 self-help books. You don't even need reminders on the wall. Because you already know, every action today is a brick in the house of your future. Maybe you're still working a regular job. That's okay. But start owning your life from your attitude. Own your time. Own your emotions. Own your skills. Own your thoughts. And soon, you won't need outside motivation anymore. Because there's a fire burning inside you that never goes out. Controlling behavior with wisdom. There's a question I believe we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why do I know what's good and still not do it? I know exercising is healthy, but I stay on the couch. I know reading makes me smarter, but I end up scrolling my phone. I know I should save money, but I spend impulsively when emotions hit. You're not alone. We've all been there. The issue isn't lack of knowledge, it's the lack of behavioral control. And that control? It doesn't come from muscle. It comes from wisdom. Warren Buffett once said, human behavior is driven by two things, greed and fear. You oversleep because getting up early doesn't feel more rewarding than staying in bed. You work because you fear losing your job, not because you love what you do. So if you want to control your behavior, you first need to understand which emotion is in charge. A lazy person isn't someone without the ability to act. They're just someone who's misjudging the weight of the reward or the pain. I used to waste so much time on my phone. Every time I sat down to work, I'd check messages, open YouTube, scroll through random news. I thought I was just relaxing. But really, I was disconnecting from my purpose. One day, I put my phone in a drawer and locked it away. Just one small change, and my productivity doubled. That's when I realized, when you can't control yourself, control your environment. We don't need iron willpower all the time. What we need is smart design. Structure your life so that doing the right thing becomes easy, and doing the wrong thing becomes inconvenient. You want to read more? Leave books beside your bed, in your bag, at your desk. You want to eat healthier? Keep fruit within reach and snacks far away. Sometimes, self-discipline isn't about suffering. It's about clever arrangement. I remember once I had to lose weight quickly. Not for health, but because I had a big event coming up. It sounds shallow, I know, but because the goal was so clear, so urgent, I had insane motivation. I ate clean, trained hard, turned down every dinner invite. And I did it. I reached my target. The lesson I learned was this. To control your behavior, you must link it to a strong emotional reason. Do you see the pattern now? Behavioral control isn't about fighting yourself every day. It's about using your mind to reorganize your emotions, your environment, and your goals. A wise person doesn't fight the current. They redirect the flow to serve them. And you can do that too. Start by asking yourself, what's distracting me? What's making me feel weak? How can I make doing right easier than doing wrong? Own your surroundings before they start owning you. And when you do that, you'll realize self-discipline isn't a burden anymore. It becomes a lifestyle, simple, steady, and quietly powerful. Positive attraction and discipline. If there's one thing that drives human action more powerfully than anything else, it's not logic. It's not moral reasoning. It's attraction. You could write down 100 reasons to wake up early. But if tomorrow morning you had a flight to the place you've been dreaming about for years, believe me, you'd wake up before the alarm even rang. Why? Because something so exciting is waiting for you. That's attraction. It's the hidden engine of motivation, the one we often forget when we talk about self-discipline. We tend to think discipline is all about suffering, restriction, and forcing ourselves. But what if we asked a better question? Right finger, why not use attraction itself to pull us forward? Imagine, instead of avoiding temptation, you created an environment so inspiring that you couldn't help but take action. Let me tell you a true story. When I decided to fix my bad habit of waking up late, I didn't set loud alarms. I simply taped a photo of Kobe Bryant right above my bed, directly on the ceiling. Under the photo was a quote. Have you ever seen Los Angeles at 4 a.m.? Every morning when I opened my eyes, I saw Kobe staring back, and I felt ashamed if I stayed in bed even one more minute. He was up at 4 a.m., training for greatness, and I was still hugging my pillow? No one had to remind me. I jumped out of bed by choice. So what's the key here? Right finger, create a positive pull. Not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself of your dream. Not out of fear, but out of deep desire. You want to write a book? Put a mock cover of your future book as your computer wallpaper. You want a better body? Hang that outfit you want to wear somewhere you can see it daily. Let your subconscious be fed and fueled by the image of the future you truly crave. One time, I walked into a small company's office. In front of their marketing department was a sign that said, "Every time you slack off, your parents suffer a little more. Every time you get lazy, the one you love pays a little price." It wasn't a threat. It was a wake-up call. We're not just living for ourselves. And sometimes, love is the strongest force that says, you don't have the right to give up. Always remember, success isn't reserved for the smartest. It belongs to those who can control themselves, and those who can design an environment that helps them grow every single day. Self-discipline isn't about fighting against your nature. It's about guiding your nature in the right direction. It's not about denying yourself pleasure. It's about awakening the best version of yourself. And if you're still struggling with procrastination, it's okay. Start with one image, one quote, one thing that makes your heart beat faster. Put it on your wall. Etch it into your soul. And every time you feel like quitting, look at it, to remember why you started. You, the one in control of your life. You've made it all the way here with me. Not everyone does. So if you're still listening, still thinking, still quietly nodding, I believe you're someone who craves change. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to keep moving forward. And that alone makes your journey meaningful. And your life worth living. We've talked about so much. That self-discipline isn't the only key to success. But it is the foundation, the backbone, for anyone who wants to become their best self. I won't promise that discipline will make you rich. But one thing is certain. If you don't learn to control yourself, life will always control you. Remember this. You don't have to be a genius. You just need to know what you want and have the patience to keep going. You don't need to change the world. Just change how you live today. And that's enough to change your future. So if there's anything you feel inspired to do after this video, do it now. Write down that goal. Turn off your notifications. Clean your workspace. Design your environment to make discipline feel easier. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't have to wait for the first of the month. You don't need to wait for motivation. The best time is always right now. If anyone has ever told you, you're not good enough, or you'll never amount to anything, smile, then get to work quietly. Because one day, your results will say everything, and their doubts will fall silent. Always remember, the one who can control themselves can control their destiny. And you are absolutely capable of becoming that person. If you found value in this video, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a loved one, someone who also needs a wake-up call. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. I'll be back with more insights, real talk, and tools to help you get closer to freedom, wealth, and true strength. And don't forget, each day is a new chance to be a little more disciplined, to be a little better, and to live a life you can be proud of. I believe in you, and more importantly, I hope you start believing in yourself too. He who can control the mind can change the world.